4.8 million years ago, the land that would one day fracture into deserts and valleys was neither gentle nor empty. It breathed with water. Rivers spread wide across low plains, slow and heavy, carrying silt from distant highlands. Seasonal rains swelled their banks, then retreated, leaving behind mud that cracked under the sun. Tall grasses bent in the wind. Stands of woodland clung to higher ground. This was a borderland, neither forest nor open savanna, shaped by instability. Life here learned to read signs in the soil, in the sky, in the sound of moving water. Near the river's edge, the ground darkened and softened. Footprints held their shape longer here. The smell of decay mixed with reeds and damp earth. Insects gathered in clouds. Fish stirred just below the surface, their movements flashing briefly in reflected light. It was a place of abundance, but also of waiting. Beneath the surface, patience had weight and muscle. The river did not only give life, it concealed it. The crocodile had been here long before the grasslands spread. Its lineage reached back into ages when the world was warmer and seas stood higher. Time had refined it into a body built for ambush, not pursuit. Its skin was thick, ridged and dark, armored without being rigid. Eyes sat high on the skull, breaking the surface just enough to watch without being seen. When it moved, the water barely noticed. The river accepted it as part of its flow. This crocodile was immense, larger than those that would survive into later epochs. It carried mass with ease. Its tail was powerful, a single stroke capable of erasing distance. Its jaws closed with a finality that allowed no second attempt. Hunger shaped its days, but patience defined them. It did not waste energy. It waited where the land narrowed life's options. Not far from the riverbank, a small group of early hominins moved cautiously through grass and low brush. They were not yet fully adapted to open land, nor fully at home in the trees. Their bodies carried contradictions. Arms still long enough to climb, legs increasingly suited for walking upright. Faces forward-looking, eyes trained on distance, but noses still sensitive to close sense. Their survival depended not on strength, but on attention. They knew this place, not in words, but in memory passed through behavior. The river was necessary. Water pulled them here again and again. It drew animals they could watch, carcasses they might scavenge, plants that grew nowhere else. But the river also demanded restraint. Too close and the ground betrayed weight. Too loud and unseen listeners stirred. One individual moved ahead of the others, smaller, lighter, perhaps younger. Curiosity pulled forward, but fear kept steps measured. Each foot tested the earth before committing. The group behind paused, their spacing deliberate. They did not cluster. They had learned, through losses never spoken of, that closeness invited sudden absence. The decision unfolding in that moment was not dramatic. It was ordinary. A need for water weighed against unease. The river level was lower than during the last rains. The surface appeared calm. No ripples betrayed movement. The air held no warning cries from birds. Silence suggested safety, though silence was never proof. The hominin at the front lowered its body slightly, extending an arm toward the water. Fingers hovered above the surface, hesitating. This pause mattered. It represented a growing awareness that danger was not always visible, that survival depended on reading what was absent as much as what was present. Beneath the surface, the crocodile adjusted position, a subtle shift of tail, a tightening of muscle. Its body aligned with the shoreline. It had sensed vibrations carried through water and mud, the rhythm of steps, the irregular pattern of something not quite like the hoofbeats of antelope. Experience told it this was softer prey, closer to the bank, less likely to escape once taken. Time compressed. The world narrowed to distances measured in heartbeats. The hominin's hand broke the surface. Water closed around skin. A small disturbance. Enough. The strike was sudden but not chaotic. The crocodile erupted from concealment with precision. Water surged upward, scattering light and sound. Jaws closed around limb and torso in a single motion. There was no struggle in the way later minds would understand it, only force, weight, and the immediate removal of possibility. The rest of the group reacted instantly, not with rescue, but with retreat. Bodies turned away from the river. Feet drove into firmer ground. There was no screaming, no charging forward. Such responses had never altered outcomes. They fled because those who did not had already shaped their instincts through absence. The crocodile dragged its capture back into the water, disappearing as quickly as it had emerged. The river smoothed itself. Ripples widened, then faded. Within moments, the surface returned to stillness as though nothing had occurred. Only a disturbed patch of mud and a broken reed remained. Loss settled over the group without ceremony. One presence gone, a gap in spacing. Movement resumed but altered. Paths bent away from water. Thirst would wait. Survival demanded it. This moment did not transform the species. It did not introduce a new tool or a sudden leap in cognition. Its power lay in repetition. Each encounter sharpened attention. Each loss narrowed acceptable risk. Over time, behavior shifted not because of understanding, but because those who paused lived longer than those who did not. Gradually, the river became something to approach indirectly. Access points changed. Drinking occurred at shallower bends, where visibility extended farther. Individuals learned to watch birds, to notice when insects lifted suddenly from the water's edge. They learned that stillness could hide intention, that smooth surfaces were not always empty. Fear became structured, not panic, but caution embedded into movement. This fear did not paralyze, it guided. It shaped how bodies positioned themselves, how long they waited, how often they looked back before lowering themselves toward water. It selected for those who could hold competing needs in balance. The crocodile continued its existence largely unchanged. Its success required no innovation. The river delivered opportunities. The land fed the river. Evolution had already brought it to near perfection for this role. It did not know the impact it had on the species edging toward the water. It simply fulfilled its place within a system older than either lineage. Across thousands of years, climates shifted. Rivers moved. Some dried. Others cut deeper channels. The hominins changed slowly in response. Legs lengthened. Pelvises adjusted. Hands became more capable of carrying, of holding objects while moving upright. Vision improved for distance scanning. Memory extended beyond immediate terrain.
Yet the lesson of the river endured. Water remained essential, but it was never neutral. It was approached with ritualized caution long before ritual had meaning. Groups gathered before drinking. Individuals watched while others bent low. The act of drinking became communal, structured, safer. These behaviors carried forward into new landscapes, lakes, marshes, coastlines. Wherever still water met land, ancient caution resurfaced. Long after crocodiles were absent, the pattern remained, an inherited wariness toward edges where visibility failed. The loss at the riverbank faded from immediate memory, but its influence persisted, not as story, but as inclination. A hesitation before stepping forward, a preference for open ground, a tendency to scan before settling. These were the quiet legacies of countless encounters with hidden force. Time moved on, species diverged. Some hominins vanished entirely, others adapted further, carrying fragments of these ancient lessons within nervous systems shaped by deep history. The crocodile's lineage continued as well, diminished in size but unchanged in essence, still waiting at the margins of water in warm regions of the world. The river itself eventually changed course. Sediment built up, floods reshaped its banks. What had once been a lethal edge became dry ground. Bones settled into layers of mud, then stone. Evidence scattered and incomplete. No record preserved the specific moment of that strike, or the individual lost. Only patterns remained, written into behavior and form. 4.8 million years ago did not mark a turning point recognized by the world. It was one of many quiet confrontations between vulnerability and power, between curiosity and consequence. The significance lay not in the drama of the event, but in its accumulation across time. As seasons continued to cycle, the land absorbed what had happened without acknowledgement. Grass grew back, water flowed on, life adjusted its distances. The river kept its secrets, holding them beneath a surface that revealed nothing of what waited below.